How's it going, Golden Eagle fans? Dalton Trigg here with Southern Miss Golden Eagles on SI and the Nasty Bunch and Beyond podcast. Here with the head coach of the Southern Miss men's basketball team, Jay Ladner. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Dalton. Just wrapping up practice here, getting ready for this tournament this week. But I appreciate you having me on.
And we're here at Reed Green Coliseum as the men's basketball team is getting ready to go to Pensacola here in a day or two and getting ready for the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And Coach, I talked with you. My guy Drew and I talked with you before the season started, and we got your thoughts on the upcoming season, expectations, and everything. And I wanted to get a follow-up with you with how this season went, because obviously, it didn't go perfectly because you had Isaac Tavares with the injury in December. He was out for a while. That kind of threw things off. And,
right.
He came back, and then you had to readjust to playing with him and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I would imagine you're proud of this team fighting to get to above 500 to end the season with how things have gone, because you've had some close games here at the end of the year.
This is, of course, you look back at the start of the season, and of course, the coaches and I were doing that on the way home from Mobile. The other night as we wrapped up a winning season, and we're so proud of that. That's of course not what our expectation is, but one of the coaches mentioned that, Coach, we're the only Division I team of the six in Mississippi that has a winning season. So I know that necessarily may not be the bar that all of us want, but it is something. And one of our goals, of course, and it's a minimal goal, but one of our goals, of course, during the preseason is to have a winning season. And so we're proud of that. We did it, played a lot of road games, but what you've kind of alluded to it. What I'm most proud of about this team is they've got some grit about them. They've got some. I always say some hombre about them. They got some toughness. And I don't mean in a bad way, but they're competitive. They haven't let a few close losses get them down. They continue to fight every game, and to be honest with you, have finished probably playing as good a basketball as we've played all year. Over the last 3 weeks, and a couple of tough losses, like at Arkansas State the other night, which was hard to explain. But I don't want to, never want to blame.
Free throw disparity was something in that game,
and the foul disparity. Of course, it was the biggest disparity in Division I basketball, I think, for the year, what I was told. But anyway, with that being said, those things happen sometimes, and again, it's unfortunate, but. We just try to. We don't blame people. We don't make excuses, and I like that about the way we operate there. We don't blame anything. We just try to control what we could control. But overall, I'm actually very proud of our team. And there were several times. Of course, when Tavares went out, that was a huge blow for us. Explosive player, has the ability to change games, and to lose him for 8.5, 9 weeks, and then another thing people may have a hard time understanding, when a player's been out 8 or 9 weeks and the type of injury that he had with a broken wrist where you can't dribble, shoot, anything like that, it's hard just to get right. You're not going to be the same guy. It takes a little time. So, it's taken several weeks for him to regain his strength, his flexibility, and so forth. But I do feel like that we're playing our best basketball that we've played all year, and I think that we can still get better. I think, we have to continue to manage our turnovers. We got to do a better job there, but our defense is probably playing as well as we played all year. We're rebounding the basketball on both ends, offensive and defensive glass. The chemistry of the team is much better. Like, for instance, at Arkansas State the other night, we shoot a really, really high percentage, and we have 21 assists. I mean, that's an incredible number. And that shows you the ball being moved to each other. So, and of course, we continued that on at South Alabama. So, anyway, I'm very proud of our team. I think, again, as you look back at the start of the season and the number of close games at South Carolina, at Buffalo, of course, at Grambling, some games, we look back and go, oh my gosh, we're literally just a few games away from flipping this thing and being up in the 20s, and maybe won the regular season title. But it's all, we could be 31-0 right now, or 0-31. It's all going to come down to what happens this week in that conference tournament.
Speaking of the conference tournament, I mean, like you said, playing great basketball at the end of the year. Some of them didn't go your way, some of them did. but it's a good time to be playing your best basketball. The Sun Belt Conference Tournament is a beast. It is the way that bracket is set up.
Hard to explain.
You know, it's where, and I mean, look, being the 8th seed, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, you could be at the very bottom and have to play 7 games in 7 days, but in reality, you know, if your team did make a run to the championship, it would have to be a 5-game and 5-day thing. So how do you prepare your guys for that kind of war of attrition?
Yeah,
so to speak?
One of a time. But I'll tell you this: my time at Jones Junior College served me well. The year we went in 2014, we won the national championship at Jones in junior college. We had to win 5 games in 5 days. So I know people out there say it can't be done, and there's people in the junior college level say that will never be done again. It was just, you know, an anomaly that happened. But if you have the right guys and they got the right stuff about them, you can do it. And you know, we a couple of games ago put out a T-shirt, or I say a T-shirt, our warm-up top. We changed our pregame warm-up top to "You Got to Believe," and that's what we mean. You got to believe. You truly have to believe. And you know, we told our guys there may not be everybody in this Coliseum may not believe, but I'm telling you, the guys in this circle, if you believe, we can get this thing done. So that's kind of been our rallying cry, so to speak. And but it's been done before, and I've been fortunate to was part of a great team at Jones that won 5 games in 5 days. There were no days in between. It was 5 consecutive nights, just like this tournament. You go, the real key, Dalton, in my opinion, is get that first one. If you get that first one, of course, now you got 4 left, but if you get that first one, you actually have a little bit of an advantage, because let's just say if we could, whoever we play in that first game, and those teams have already played either 1 or 2 nights, right? But whoever plays in that first game, if you can survive that first one, they'll have the team that you're going to play will have been sitting out for about 8 days.
That's right.
And I'm not so sure, and I know in my experience, and going back, of course, I've coached it at every level. You know, that reminds me of our years when I was coaching in high school, and we would go to the state tournament, and if we were the 1st or 2nd seed coming out of South Mississippi going to Jackson, when I was coaching at St. Stanislaus High School, you may have to sit out 8, 10, 12 days before you ever played again. It was never an advantage. And so I think having that 1 game under your belt, if we can win that first one, it'll be tough, but if you can win that first one, now you know, I think it really helps, to be honest with you. Now, once you get into the 3rd, 4th, 5th game, of course, now when you begin to talk about fatigue and some things like that setting in. But again, it can be done. And I was fortunate to be part of a great team at Jones that did the 5 games in 5 days. So I'm using that experience as a positive, because people then said it'll never be done, and they'll say it'll never be done again. If we've got the right team, we've got a championship team, which we think that we have a potential championship team, it can be done.
Well, it's going to have to be a team effort, and obviously, you know, at this point in the year, you know what you're going to get out of Tyleek Weeks. You know what you're going to get out of Isaac Tavares and Jabane, but you're going to have to get some performances like what we saw in that last game against South Alabama. Keontae Tramble,
yes,
career high, 18 points in 16 minutes off the bench. You know, is that something you can look at for him specifically? Like, hey, this is a growing moment. Maybe we can expand on this going forward?
That's a great point. And, you know, we have seen that from Keontae in practice before. And, you know, and I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe it was just me. Maybe I didn't play him at the right time, you know, and I'll take any responsibility there. Our bottom line is we want him to be the best version of himself. And that's one of the things that we, of course, we're talking about, as you know, I mentioned that we just finished up practice. We don't need people to be somebody they're not. We simply need them to be the best version of themselves going into this tournament. We need our team to be the best version of ourselves. And the winning and losing will take care of itself. Keontae was a really, really good version of himself, but I've seen him do that in practice every day. So to see him going out on the floor and finally break through, that should be a great confidence builder from him. But we've also had some other guys playing really well. Dylan Brumfield's playing really well. Dylan's not gonna. He defers a lot. he had 9 rebounds the other night. I mean, he's a big physical guard. He had 9 rebounds and did an incredible job defensively, and that's where that game was won. Even though we played very well offensively against their zone, really flipped it around from when we played them here a couple weeks ago, where we turned it over 23 or 24 times in that game. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but we turned it over a lot and lose a close game. I thought we really played well against their zone down there. But Dylan Brumfield's played well. I think Kurt Lewis has played well. Dalen Brandon beginning to play well. Tegra Izze's given us some solid minutes off the bench, you know, because you just can't play those guys for 40 minutes. Here's another thing. Our best defender is Brewer Caruth. He's our best perimeter defender. He's physical. He's tough. He's been out with a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
And so we were able to kind of survive this stretch without him. He's ready to go now. He's 100%. So, you know, that was we played him just for a few seconds at Arkansas State. He wasn't quite right. And I told him after the game, I said, unless we just foul everybody out like they did at Arkansas State, we're not going to play at South Alabama if we can survive. You know, it'd just be an emergency only, because our real deal is we're going to need you next week, of course, for numbers. And if we're going to make a run, we're going to have great depth. And that's one thing, Dalton, I think our team has. I think we've had 9 different guys start. And I think there's not a player on our roster, I'm talking about all the way to what some people would consider the end of the bench. We wouldn't use that term, but, you know, all the way down our roster, there's not a player that I don't think that could go in there and do what Keontae did and really give us a boost on a given night. And you're going to have some of that to win this thing. You're going to have, I don't want to say luck, it's not luck, but you're going to have a guy or two. You know, as you already said it, Weeks has been so consistent. Jahe Benet has had an incredible year. Tavares, those guys are so consistent. Dylan Brumfield. But we need somebody to separate us like that, and having a Keontae come in there, and does that open up so many other things? Now defenses can't be, the court's not shrunk.
It's pick your poison time.
Yes. You're going to let it suit. And you know, Jeremy McLean and I were talking the other day about the tournament heading up. You know, and I mentioned, this was before we played South, I said, if we could just make a few threes a game, just enough to keep them balanced. Well, not only did we make 3, we had, you know, we make 10. I mean, that's so if that happens, what does that do for opening up driving lanes for Weeks and Tavares, and of course takes the pressure off Benet inside. And so it's, as you said, pick your poison, and that balances us out on offense. So anyway, I'm excited. I hope you can tell in my voice and emotion, Dalton, going into this thing. I'm proud of our team. You know, despite losing a key player for 9 weeks or so, and kind of still able to kind of keep our head above water. It's, you know, I'm very, very excited about going into this tournament.
Well, it's going to be tough, but I'm
Sure
excited
is.
about it as well. I think this team has the talent to do something like that.
Too.
You can just, like you said, get some even distribution with the performances over the course of however many days it is, and just see what happens. But like you said, with the pregame shirts y'all wear, the warm-up shirts, you got to believe.
And you got to believe. And on back, it's got 13. And a lot of people have texted me or called me or mentioned to me, Coach, what's that 13 stand for? And what 13 is there are 14 teams in our league, and in the preseason coaches poll, we were in the preseason, we were 13th. And so I wanted to remind our players, of course I didn't need to remind them, they already knew, but that the guy that's sitting opposite our bench most likely voted us 13th or 14th. We can't vote for ourselves, so you didn't have too many much higher votes than that to finish 13th. So we were ahead of Louisiana Monroe. So we've exceeded that expectation. Of course, our goal was to win the league, but that's okay. Our major goal is still sitting there, and that's to, you know, for us to, and just like the other teams, that to get to the NCAA tournament, and to do that in the Sun Belt. We're a one-bid league, so we've got to win this. Got to win this tournament coming up this week. But I like the way we're trending.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time.
No, thank you.
Good luck to you and the team. And this is Dalton Trigg signing off. Be sure to check out Southern Miss Golden Eagles on SI for extensive covers throughout this next week as the Sun Belt conference tournament gets underway. We appreciate it, y'all. Y'all have a good